Hello, Sally.
Hello,
Hello. Thank you so much for joining me
my
to talk
pleasure.
about this topic that is really close to my heart, and I know as well that it's very close to your heart. So it's fabulous that you're able to give me this little bit of time together today.
Yeah.
So we've got Global Wellbeing Week running from the 21st to the 30th of June, and I just wanted to have some conversations with others to learn a bit more about well-being in the context of them and in their lives, and also to help to bring it to the forefront of other people's minds of those that might be watching these conversations. So to kick off, do you want to just share a little bit about who you are?
Yes. So my name is Sally Lambert. I live in Liverpool, in the UK. Well-being is a huge part of my life, I suppose. Yeah. Well, no, it's an everyday part of my life. So I'm a psychotherapist, and so work with clients every day on their well-being. And also because I'm a human as well, I have to work on my own well-being every single day. I work with mindful self-compassion for myself and for my clients as well. So there's loads of well-being involved in that. And I guess, it's just like, it's just a huge part of my life, I think, and just in my awareness most of the time, maybe. Yeah.
So when you talk about well-being and when you think about well-being in the context of you, what is well-being?
It's a really interesting question, that, isn't it? And one where I'm like, it's like when someone says go and self-care for the day, and you go, I suppose well-being would be, for me, if it was my own well-being, it would be, how am I? How is my health? How is my mental health? How's my physical health? How am I feeling today? And also there's the broader way of looking at it, where it's like, what, long term, how is my health? How, exercise, plenty of sleep, seeing friends, not seeing friends too much, the way I'm eating, the way I'm drinking, trying to stay away from too much alcohol. Is that what well-being sits like with you?
I think so. And as just as you were sharing that, then it really hit home just how broad well-being is, and how I think it's quite easy to get really overwhelmed with it, isn't it?
Definitely.
There are elements to well-being that you read about, and I guess we experience ourselves, really. I would say so, yeah. And I think maybe when I was younger, for me, the well-being related more to that physical side, and I'm not sure whether it's to do with age or just to do with what I've kind of come across in terms of self-development and development. That's where there's a lot more of that, as you said, the mindful self-compassion, the feelings part, the tuning in, and I think for me, there's something here about boundaries as well, which I'm not sure that I've ever been very good at.
Yeah, it's like a massive umbrella term, isn't it? It's a bit of a cheeky term, well-being, I suppose, really, because it does encompass absolutely everything. It's like talking about Google, how many things you can actually Google. It's huge, because it is about boundaries. It's massively about boundaries, I think, well-being. Yeah, definitely. Definitely. And so you can have a lot of parts of your life that I guess your well-being isn't that hot, isn't that good as well, but I suppose it's not about judgment as well, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think we're all very good at the judgment side.
Yeah, definitely.
yourself, maybe judging others. So for you then, how has your well-being been impacted over the last year or so with everything to do with
how has it been impacted? So at first I felt delight. It just felt so quiet and beautiful, especially by where we live. I live next door to my brother, and I know he spoke about it as well. It was just so quiet. When we first couldn't go out at all, we were cheekily, because we were kind of like a bubble, we were going out to, and we're in the same household, still making excuses, it's weird. We were going out and exercising together every day, and everything had been taped off in the park and stuff like that. But we were just saying, like, the sense of community was lovely. People were talking to each other for the first time, much more than they had done before. There was also, like, you could see people were wary, but we were looking after our well-being, and it was nice to do that kind of thing. And yeah, I think, how's it been affected? At first it was really lovely, and I really enjoyed the quietness. Then I got really massively impacted by the busyness of my job over the start of COVID, and how, I think we said this, me and my supervisor said this, it's the first ever time really where as a therapist you go into work and none of your stuff comes out, but as two human beings, because we're both going through COVID, it's the first ever time where you're both in this together. And I think the dynamic of that was a bit strange. And so it took about 2 months, but I kind of went through a burnout. I think it was all the Zoom and things like that, and I probably was approaching one anyway. But so yeah, that was quite hard. Then I had to take a month off work, which was really weird because it was lockdown as well. I'm being off, but it was beautiful weather. So the well-being part of that was that it was, it cheers you up. How have I been impacted? I've kind of liked it. I think my well-being is, other than the burnout thing, which probably would have happened anyway. And I did lose a friend to COVID as well, which was horrible. I think it's been, first of all, I've met some really amazing people that I don't think I would have met if we hadn't been Zooming as much as everybody has really got into it now. Certainly wouldn't have. And people have just connected more online, which means that if you feel stuck in the place you're living in, you've actually got more people to meet that have got more in common with you in other places. So that's affected my well-being. Yeah, it's just it's just, how have I would say I've been impacted in a positive way. I hesitate to say it because it's like a strange thing to say, but I think I've been impacted in a positive way, more introspective, slowed down a lot more, realised a lot more that it doesn't matter. So much doesn't really matter. And yeah, stopped reading newspapers, and so that's been really good for my well-being as well, staying away from the media a lot as well.
So I was actually, one of the questions that I was going to ask you was, so what helps you to be a well-being? And it sounds as if, you've already described the slowing down, the stopping reading the newspaper has helped you mental health, the getting out in the park,
walking, like loads and loads of walking, and being in touch with, like, we've got some amazing wildlife around here. I know I send you pictures all the time, but just like even yesterday, just sat and sunbathing in the park, and then and ended up just talking to the person that was lying a few feet away from me, and just that kind. I love for my well-being, interacting with a stranger a day is really important. Just getting a glimpse onto somebody's world that you've never met before, or smiling at a stranger. It really impacts my well-being.
I'm like, do you know why that is for you?
For me, it's, I feel like, well, firstly, I think it's about a bit of the therapist thing. I feel like it's connection. It's definitely connection. And for me, the first time I connect with somebody is always the most exciting. And secondly, I feel like I might have made someone happy who might have been sad or might have been feeling lonely. And I suppose if you look at all that, it's probably that they've made me feel happy when I might have been feeling a bit lonely. So I just think it's so beautiful, because it kind of gives me hope that we can connect with people all the way through our lives. It's not like it's always there, that sense of connection. What do you think yours is?
In the sense of what helps me to be a well-being.
When you smile at a stranger and it makes you happy.
It's funny, isn't it? Because I mean, I think it is the connection. And you know what? I think it might depend on the mood that I'm in.
Yes. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Because the other day I was feeling in, really upbeat, quite really happy mood.
Yeah.
And I felt like I was more aware and more tuned to my environment, and therefore it was easier for me to connect.
Yeah.
Also, if I'm feeling, I don't know, maybe there's that caring, nurturing, compassionate side of me that's there as well, then I seem to be drawn to those that maybe are on their own, or are they okay? Do they look okay? So that's where that connection comes from.
Yeah. Sometimes I think I want to be friends with everybody that existed ever, and that it would be so overwhelming. And because sometimes I want to hide under a rock and never speak to anybody, like this week, kind of don't want to speak to anyone face to face. But connection. I love that question that you asked. Why do you think that is? Because I know we've been kind of exploring loads of stuff and learning new stuff together, and it's so exciting. Sometimes I hope one day we just find somebody that can tell us all these answers, who can just say why it is. But I guess why it is so individual. I always wanted to start an Instagram account called Smile at a Stranger Day, where we do one day a year. You have to smile at strangers, but I thought we might come across as quite psychotic.
I love that. I'm sure there'd be many people that wouldn't, but I think I really like that idea. I'd definitely join that Instagram account.
Yeah, it might not hit off in London or somewhere like that, but maybe in like, the suburbs and things, it might be quite good for well-being.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I just want to take you back to when you were talking about this burnout that you experienced.
Yeah.
You said anyway that you thought that you might experience that burnout. So
can
you just talk a little bit more about that for me?
Yeah, definitely. So for me, burnout is, it's exactly what we're talking about today. It's going, no, I'm not going to look at that part of my well-being and needs. No, I'm not going to put. It's not about making the choice to not look at them. It's that. Say for instance you were like a little row of test tubes. Remember in chemistry millions of years ago, if you were a little row of test tubes, and to be okay, all of the water has to be at exactly the same level. A lot of them are kind of like at very low levels, and because the other ones are as well, it was very hard to fill up one, because I was so much concentrated. The main thing for me was just getting into work every day and not letting my clients down. But unfortunately, not looking after yourself is ultimately, you are going to let other people down. And ultimately, again, well-being wise, you have to start with you. We've been taught from the very moment we were born to never start with you, to make sure you always start with someone else. It's so selfish. That word selfish is just horrendous, and you have to start with you, but you automatically don't. So the most important thing, I was in a trance. I had to get to work every day. I had to take more and more clients on, and I would just be like, just get to the end of this week, just get to the end of this session, just get to the end of this day. One more left or two more left and things like that, and that's no way to live. So in the end, I can remember I was sat in the bedroom on a Zoom call, and I remember it was getting towards the end of the call, and my body was so exhausted that I had to hold my head up with my hand. And then I started feeling this feeling in my body that I hadn't felt for a very long time, where your body's just breaking. Basically, your body goes, right, so you're not going to listen to your mind, are you, Sally? So what we're going to have to do here is we're going to have to send in the body now. So you're screwed. And it goes whack. And it's a really interesting, if you're sitting on the outside of it, it's a really interesting feeling, because it's like getting really ill. You know, you're going to have to take a long, like getting pneumonia, you're going to have to take a long time to recover from it. When I felt that, what I felt in that room, I knew then I couldn't work, and I had to stop completely. So that's literally just because I ignored my mind for so long, because I was so scared of what my mind was telling me. My mind was telling me to stop, and loneliness and feeling detached and anxiety tell you to not stop, to keep going, you know, be part of this society and things like that, and to not stop. And I couldn't stop. I felt like I was in tunnel vision and things like that, especially because everyone was stuck at home, and the judgment that I'm thinking my clients might think I'm crazy. But ultimately, in the end, it didn't matter what I was thinking. I had to just take a month off. And a lot of it's quite hazy, but I've burnt out before. What are we on, June? This has been my first year, touch wood, where I'm okay, and I'm putting a lot of new things in. You never know, but I've burnt out before twice with my job, and it's really not nice at all. But it is literally not looking after your own well-being, which sounds like you're being really cross to yourself or being mean to yourself by saying you're not looking after your own well-being, but it's just so easy to do.
It's really easy to do. It's really easy to do.
In these jobs as well, Yeah,
with the you know, that service, you know, the kind of the contribution that you're making to other people's lives. And as you say, actually there's something habitually there about putting others ahead of our own needs, and that selfish that you were talking about as well. Taking care of self. You know, that sounds so much nicer, doesn't it, than selfish.
And also, who really wants to take care of themselves? You know, we want someone else to take care of us. Well, I'm speaking for myself. We kind of want someone to rock up and say, do this, I love you, everything's fine, and here's a big suitcase full of love. Nobody starts off by going, I want to take care of myself. I do kind of want to take care of myself now, but still, it'd be much easier if someone else did it. It wouldn't work. No. It wouldn't work at all, because it wouldn't be the way I need to be taken care of. But I think I can only speak for myself in that I've been waiting for most of my life for someone to turn up and take care of me. So I had a huge temper tantrum when I realised it was myself that had to do that.
It's quite a harsh message, isn't it?
Yeah.
To receive. I think I'm the same a few years back, and who else is gonna do this for me? No one.
And they won't do it right, Laura. They won't do it.
No.
They won't do it right. It's like when you ask someone to scratch your back, they're always going to miss the bit that's actually itchy. You know, they won't do it right. Even a counsellor that you go and see, they can empathise with you, but they don't know exactly that level of pain. I think that's what a client and a counsellor are always looking for, to attain, is to get to that. I get exactly what you're feeling. And I think that's why my well-being was hit so much, because the level of empathy, for some reason, that I feel is that I almost feel like I can get exactly how they're feeling, but which is beautiful in a session. It's the most beautiful connection. But coming out of that, like, and I was doing, when I first burnt out, I was doing 8 clients a day, so like 5 days a week or 6 days a week. So, you know, you can't put your, I don't know much about energy. I'd love to learn more. I'm sure we will as well, as part of our learning stuff. But I think well-being and energy, that would be a nice thing to look at more as well.
Yeah, definitely. So let's touch on that then, because it is something that's been on my mind as well. In your profession, and as you say, with how many clients you were seeing every single day, what strategies have you got in place that help you?
So that's a really good question. So now I only see 4 clients a day. Well, strategy wise, no, this is a brilliant strategy. So I'm off this week. And every time I think about going to, I've seen somebody every single day, because for some reason, every person I've ever known texted me this week to say, do you want to do something? And I'm not able to say no that much. But strategy wise, I've taken a week off. That's a big deal. And strategy wise, in 2 weeks, I'll be taking another week off. So that's a big deal. It's a hard one, you know. Especially being self-employed as well. So strategy wise, I would say I open the window after every client and let the energy out. That seems to be important, to put a bit of frankincense on the radiator, which is probably too much and like burns a lot of the clients' noses out. Strategy wise, I do a lot of just when someone's saying something very, very sad, I'll put my hand here. And I didn't even realize I was doing it, but since mindful self-compassion and learning about Peter Levine and stuff like that, I know it protects my heart from, I think when I first started working, I felt like I had to have my heart had to be broken as well as theirs, because it was so bad. But now I'm just the listener in the room. They just need someone to listen. I don't need to come out broken like they are feeling. So strategy wise, I try and have half an hour between sessions. I'm not very good at staying off my phone in between sessions. I've started reading a lot more lately, so I'll maybe read in between a session. I've made the terrible mistake of buying a Pret subscription, and we've got a Pret downstairs, so I might pop downstairs, get a coffee, which means I'm talking to a staff member, which is really important for me because I work by myself. So that's a kind of strategy. I'll speak to a friend on the phone, maybe while I'm on my break, check in with somebody. If I was really going to do some really good strategies, I've got out of the habit of meditation and doing mindful self-compassion kind of exercises. But if I was going to use strategies which I have before, I would do that kind of thing. I'd do a little like mindful self-compassion exercise. I do like what do I need right now and things like that. But it's usually, I need half an hour scrolling through Facebook on my phone or something like that. Getting a hot drink, getting a hot chocolate to ground myself, going for a walk to the church and sitting in the churchyard. Sometimes I go and sit in the church, not as a religious experience, but more as a spiritual kind of, it's beautifully quiet. But I think my strategy would usually be talking to other people, and because I work by myself, that's a bit difficult. So I suppose just sitting and being in my own silence is a strategy, really. But I would like to use more good, positive.
It sounds just from, and that's you just reeled those off there, and I'm sure that there'll be even more.
Yeah.
What I was hearing there, Sally, was that whilst I know that you were saying that, maybe you'd like to do more of the formal MSc meditation, I was hearing, how you're satisfying the different parts of you.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Balance in that. And so, we often refer to, which is what you were talking about right at the start, kind of the mental side, the feelings, the emotional side, that behavioural side, and kind of the being out in nature as well.
Yeah.
Kind of tuning in and getting a gauge of what is it that we need in that moment. And you ask that, which is great, because I think often we're so disconnected from what it is we need. We are up here, aren't we?
Yeah.
That it can be quite tricky for us to identify what is going to make, what is going to help.
Yeah. Do you know what I usually do? Because I'm in the centre, but I'm just outside of the centre. I walk into town and go to Waterstones because it's gorgeous, just sitting there with a new book, or just walking around the bookshelves. That's a proper treat if I've got an hour. Or this is a really weird well-being one, but I'll just go to John Lewis and look at the gorgeous clothes and things like that and buy something I don't need. So that's another kind of well-being strategy.
Yeah, because what you're sharing here as well is that yes, you've got this week off, and then in 2 weeks another week off, and that whole taking that physical break, away from work, which let's face it, work takes up so much of our lives. Yeah, some of us are very lucky and fortunate to love 100% of what we do. Yeah, it's more normal to have a whole bunch of stuff that's very stressful, and still some stuff that you enjoy, but knowing on a daily basis or a weekly basis the things that all impact our own being, because if you weren't doing all of those things, then going back to the burnout conversation, that you're going to come back to that a whole lot quicker, aren't you?
Yeah, I think one thing, a whole lot quicker. We're like an elastic band, and I think every time burnout happens, it's just like, I don't know if you've sprained your ankle ever, gone over on your ankle, and then the next time you do it, it happens so much easier. Yeah, it's exactly the same with burnout, which I think is a really good kind of example of how it happens again. One thing that I've definitely been doing, which is quite a shame really, because I used to enjoy it slightly, but I've been staying away from continuous personal development in therapy, which is a real must. Counsellors are like, it's a must. You have to have so many hours of personal development a month, and my entire body doesn't want any. If I sat here, it's part of knowing that I think I might have been approaching burnout again. It's because every time an email comes through with more personal development on, I'm like, no. So that's part of my wellbeing strategy, as well as being aware that I don't want to go near that right now. And although there's judgment there of you should be going near it, you should be the best counsellor and stuff like that. Well, my well-being is about listening to my body and listening to my mind, and I'm a bit allergic to that at the moment, so it'll make me feel worse, so staying away from it. If it comes back, it comes back. I don't think it will, because I'm moving on career-wise. Definitely, my body has decided that. But yeah, I don't think it will, but definitely staying away from things is part of well-being as well, I think. Not just staying away from alcohol or staying away from negative things, but staying away from positive things that maybe you do too much of, or people see as positive.
Yeah, I've definitely I've had points where I've hit overwhelm with that kind of professional development, personal development, all of the free summits. We were speaking about this the other day. All of the bombardment,
so many emails.
You kind of feel like you're missing out on the opportunity, and then the stress levels heighten, and you're out of a feeling that you have to and you should, rather than this is my free will, and actually I'm really looking forward to this. Free will and well-being, I think they go together really, really perfectly, don't they? What is your free will? What do you want to do? Listen, I could talk to you for hours on this topic, and we may well have to have another conversation.
We will. It's been really good.
Good. Before we end, I would just like to ask if you had like either a top tip or a little bit a piece of advice.
Yeah.
Somebody that was perhaps wanting to focus more on their well-being. Maybe they already do a whole bunch of stuff, but they're just wanting something, an idea, or it could be that they've just recognized that they do need to enhance and focus on their well-being. What would you say?
What I went straight to, no, it's definitely, this is your well-being, is just watch how you're speaking to yourself. Watch how you're speaking to yourself, because however you'll be speaking to yourself in this moment, it won't be as kind as you deserve. That would definitely be what I say. Well-being starts with the relationship that you have with yourself. So watch how you are with yourself, and watch those pesky thoughts that come in and start attacking from all sides. Because once you start being kind inside of you, then you can make all the well-being changes a lot easier. It'll flow so much more beautifully then.
That is fabulous. Yes, beautiful. Thank you so much, my lovely.
It's a pleasure. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.